A'ja Wilson has long been treated as the league's untouchable star, the one who seems to get every call, every bailout whistle, every inch of referee protection. But the mask finally slipped. Against the Indiana Fever, on a night that was supposed to showcase the Aces' dominance, everything came crashing down in the ugliest way possible. For years, fans and players alike have whispered about the special whistle Wilson gets. This time, there was no denying it. 13 free throw attempts for Wilson, while the rest of her team barely sniffed the line. It wasn't just a stat, it was a flashing neon sign about how tilted the officiating has been in her favor. The problem is that even with her parade to the line, the Aces didn't just lose, they were humiliated. The final score wasn't close. It wasn't competitive. It was a demolition. The Indiana Fever dismantled the so-called queens of the WNBA by nearly 30 points, 81-54, breaking a streak of 16 straight losses to Las Vegas. Think about that. 16 times in a row, the Aces held dominion over Indiana, and then suddenly, when the spotlight was brightest, they were exposed as a team built on fragile foundations. And what made it worse? Wilson herself. She wasn't content to just draw fouls and pile up meaningless points. She turned the night into a circus with one of the dirtiest plays fans had seen in recent memory. Lexie Hull, boxing out like she was taught since high school, doing her job playing clean basketball. Out of nowhere, Wilson came charging in from behind like she was in the WWE, wrapping an arm around Hull's head and sending her crashing. Everyone saw it. Everyone gasped. And yet somehow, in a moment that felt like parody, the referees downgraded it to a jump ball. That kind of blatant disregard for reality is what makes fans scream corruption. The internet exploded. Clips of the foul flooded timelines. Words like pathetic, unsportsmanlike, and nasty were plastered everywhere. Fans weren't just angry, they were vindicated. For years, they had said A'ja Wilson's dominance was inflated by whistles, that she got away with things no one else could. Now they had proof. And to the league's credit, they finally acted. Wilson was suspended. It was late, but it was accountability, the kind fans thought they'd never see. For once, the golden child wasn't protected. But the damage was already done. Wilson's 29 points in the game were the emptiest numbers anyone could remember. Points built not on skillful execution but on free throws and phantom calls. Meanwhile, her team shot a disgraceful 26% from the field. Chelsea Gray managed just 2 points. The Aces looked nothing like champions. They looked broken, out-hustled, outplayed, and completely rattled. Indiana, led by Aaliyah Boston and fueled by a roster sick of being pushed around, outscored them in the paint, dominated rebounds, forced turnovers at will, and turned the second quarter into a highlight reel of near perfection. For Fever fans, it was catharsis. For Aces fans, it was humiliation. The ugliest part, though, was what it said about the league. Officiating in the WNBA has long been a sore spot, with accusations of favoritism undermining the sport's credibility. Wilson's special treatment is the perfect example. 13 free throws for her, while Aaliyah Boston, an MVP-level talent in her own right, couldn't get a call to save her life. Fans, broadcasters, and even analysts have begun asking the same question: how is this fair? How can the league expect fans to buy into competition that looks this rigged? And it wasn't just the foul on Hull or the endless free throws. It was the aftermath. Fever coach Stephanie White lost her cool on the sideline, snapping at referees after watching her players get hacked and ignored possession after possession. For that, she was slapped with a technical. Think about the absurdity. Wilson can put another player in a chokehold and walk away, but White raising her voice earns punishment. That imbalance enraged fans even further, and it proved once again that the league would rather silence criticism than confront its officiating crisis. Fans took it into their own hands, creating memes of Wilson's logo reimagined as a referee whistle. Social media lit up with comparisons to pro wrestling, with jokes that refs should wear clown outfits because that's what the product looked like. And beneath the jokes was real frustration. This wasn't basketball, people said, it was a circus. For Wilson, the suspension is a scar on her reputation. She's always been seen as the face of the league, the protected star, the player with the fictitious MVP aura built as much by whistles as by skill. Now, the suspension validates what critics have said all along, that her dominance is hollow, inflated by favoritism. Without the refs shielding her, she's exposed. Her team is exposed. And her legacy takes a hit that no box score can erase. For the Fever, it was more than a win. It was revenge. 5 years of suffering at the hands of Vegas evaporated in one night. They didn't just beat the Aces, they dismantled them, embarrassed them, and showed the league that resilience, discipline, and toughness can triumph over hype and favoritism. It was the kind of game that changes narratives. The WNBA now stands at a crossroads. The fans aren't fooled. They see the bias. They see the protection. They see how much the league bends over backward for certain stars while ignoring others. A'ja Wilson's whistle has become a running joke, but it's also a symbol of a larger problem. If the league doesn't fix it, if they don't enforce fairness, the credibility gap will keep widening. Fans want to believe in the product. But every time something like this happens, belief dies a little more. A'ja Wilson will bounce back statistically. She'll still put up points. She'll still draw calls. But after this? After the suspension, after the memes, after being exposed in a 30-point beatdown? Her aura is gone. The myth of her invincibility shattered the moment she wrapped her arm around Lexie Hull's head and thought she could get away with it. That's not dominance. That's desperation. And now the league, the fans, and even her own legacy will have to reckon with the truth. Without her whistle, A'ja Wilson isn't untouchable. She's just another player, and one who finally got caught.